So I'm Emily Ross, LPC, and I'm here with Inez Alvarez. Did I say it right?
Alvidres.
Close?
Yes, good.
I appreciate that. So we're here, and we've been talking about non-traditional methods of healing, and we've been talking about incorporating whole person healing, mind, body, and soul, and the ways that different communities and different cultures try to heal around grief and loss and death. And so we're here, and do you say celebrating Dia de los Muertos? Do you say celebrating that? Yes.
It's the celebration of life.
It's a celebration of life.
But it is known as Dia de los Muertos. And it starts October 30th. That's when they set up the Ofrenda.
Mm-hmm.
But November 2nd is the main Dia de los Muertos, which we're celebrating on the weekend, which is going to be October the 29th.
Oh, okay.
There's also a celebration on November 1st, and that's dedicated to young children that have passed.
Okay.
So it's a little two different days.
Okay.
But what you asked is exactly what it means. It's a way for people to have a way to remember their loved ones once a year, and it's a way to bring things that they used to love, and it's believed that they come back that night and they visit this world. So this is why the marigolds are part of it and essential on the ofrenda, because that helps them come to us. And that's the way you put little things that they used to like.
Okay.
Either a drink that they used to enjoy, fruits that they used to enjoy. So it is a way to connect, and like you say, it might help some people find peace or find...
Or like closure, or like a way to remember them on a special day in like a positive way, like remembering the good things, the things they liked, the times you enjoyed together.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting because I've been doing a lot on ways of healing, and for me personally, I didn't know I was going to do this interview until yesterday, and the days leading up, I had dreams about my grandmother who has passed many, many years ago, and then I had a kinesiology appointment where everything that came up was grief and loss, and so on the way here I was like, wow, that's so interesting that those are the things that were coming up for me before this happened. And so I brought an ofrenda. Did I say that right?
Oh.
Which is like a picture, right?
Yes.
So I brought a picture of my grandmother because she's who I keep dreaming about, and so you just put it on the altar on any day that...
Well, this one is the first time we do it in Bowman. I have the pleasure to collaborate with a friend of mine in past Ofrendas. His knowledge of Ofrendas is just amazing. He goes by every single little detail, and we can talk maybe a little bit about that. But the idea of these Ofrendas is for the community to feel part of it. So you bring in a picture of your grandma, is making you being part of the ofrenda, and now your grandma is part of this tradition where people get to celebrate her life in a positive, in a way that it should be colorful, and it should be for you especially. You should be able to be happy that she's in this beautiful display. And they have a few examples here. Two very well-known Mexican actors and singers, and they're very loved by everyone. So I think having the community is so important, though.
We were talking about that a little bit before we started, about the way community can come together and help people heal, and how it's so instrumental in, other people seeing who they put, the pictures that they put up, and them maybe asking about my grandma, and it's just bonding. We all know we're mourning that loss.
And that's one of the parts of it, that when you picture, or the picture of your grandma is there, then you get to share a story about her. And that's why we keep our loved ones alive.
Oh, I love that.
That is really kind of the main ideas, is that the belief is that they don't die if we always remember them. So this is the way to remember them.
Oh.
So they will never really die. They're always in that special place. And the more I ask relatives and people when I went to visit the town where she was from, I never got to meet her in person. I was born after she was gone. But what I realized is that when I told everyone who I was related to, everybody just opened their arms really big and smile. And then you say, oh, Mama Inez. So they were started just reacting, and I felt the love that they felt for her. So even though I never met her in person, I feel like I did through those experiences.
It connected you to her.
And same thing with my cousins. They tell me, well, it was no one like her. Everybody loved her. She couldn't walk in one place and not make everyone feel like people want to go up to her and talk to her. And I'm like, oh, that was my grandma Inez. So how powerful it is to have not necessarily a specific emotion or a story, but these emotions that connect with the human.
That you shared with those people who you had not met before,
Exactly.
and that instantly connected you on
Yes.
that. I love that. It's so bonding and community building. And I think that's going to be great for us here
Yes.
to invite people in to the community and to share that with each other, because this is a tradition I've been really fascinated with for such a long time. So.
Yeah, and I do believe that this event can become so big, and the idea is that not necessarily bigger or greater, but community-wise, it can connect so many people, and it can make people feel a connection that they didn't expect to
Like
have.
a part of.
Yes. Why not next time you brought a picture of your grandma? Well, I'm gonna bring my grandma next year.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, and so I look forward to seeing
And
you
then
next
you make sure
year.
you bring exactly. So there should be, hopefully, a network that is built from. And when you think about traditions, they have so much history, and some people are like, well, I don't want to get into so much. Well, what about just coming and enjoying the color and the music? How about just come and just do that?
Just come belong to that community for a
Exactly.
little
And
bit,
I think
yeah.
that's where one of the parts that I wanted to speak was healing within the families, healing within the community. I think this is like medicine.
I agree so much. I think connecting to community is such a big part of healing. And I noticed when I work with clients that if they have done a lot of inner work to heal but haven't connected or don't feel part of a community, that they don't stay well very long.
You know, it's not sustainable, right?
It's not sustainable like that. It's really just not. So what are the parts of the tradition that you'd like to share with us? And maybe you could talk about how, maybe for you personally, if you don't mind, how it helps you heal when you think of your loved ones.
So I'm recently learning more and more about it. I wish I can tell you I'm an expert and I grew up with it, but I am not. But I love the idea that the ofrenda actually has to have the 4 elements, and I love that part. So papel picado, you see this paper? It's an ancient technique from the Aztecs, and this one represents air. So it's light and flowy. It represents the air. Then you have fire, the candles. The water is on the side of you. It's a little glass of water, and the bread kind of represents the
Like the earth.
earth. Yeah. So I think that part to me was really beautiful. Then you have pan de muerto, which is this one right here, and then you have a cross, but the cross is also made on shape of bones. So pan de muerto is one of the big traditions for this celebration. This is one of my favorite parts of it. And there's the sugar skulls. These ones, when they're small, they represent the young children that have passed. But many poets and writers and painters throughout history in Mexico have talked about death, and we try to paint it colorful.
Yes.
So it's not so scary. We try to sometimes make fun of it, to not be so afraid of it, because it's part of life. So it's a tradition that I'm still learning. I'm still getting the roots of it, because there's so many roots. I was doing a little research today, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know so much about it, because it's a mix of the Indian tradition and Catholicism. It kind of blended after the years. But right now, in Bowman, and I know Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Waco. Uh, I've been to their events, and what I have seen is this magnificent, beautiful festival that people travel to see it.
Oh.
And I think Bowman has every element that those big cities have.
Can I put my Ofrenda up there?
Sh-
I brought an Ofrenda. I say it awful. Tell me again how to say it.
Well, you have a photograph.
Mhm.
I don't know the specific name, but I know the ofrenda itself is the entire
Is
thing.
this? Okay.
Yeah. Altar, altar, or ofrenda.
Okay.
But the ofrenda, yeah, it's an offering. So you brought an offering.
So I brought an offering. I brought
Yeah.
my grandmother because she's been visiting me, and I feel like she wanted to be included in this, and so
Perfect.
I want to include her. So
And I think
I'm
it's
gonna.
part of your healing, right?
I think it is part of my healing, and it's interesting because you think she passed away in like 2007. You think that it's been all this time, and I can speak of her joyfully, but it was really hard when I did that healing thing today, and I started to get really heavy about it. And I feel like this is going to help me to feel connected to a community that honors that in a way that's just so different than I'm used to. You know? So I'm gonna put her up there. She's absolutely pretty.
Oh, we can put her almost anywhere for
Can
now.
I put her like right there?
Sure. And I know we're gonna be having an ofrenda the day of the festival.
Mm-hmm.
So we might have to move your grandma from inside
That's okay.
to the ofrenda, but hopefully there's a lot of people that get involved and participate.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if they don't participate this year, when they see it, they might want to do it next year.
And if you're not near us in Southeast Texas, if you're in Southeast Texas, you should really just come. There's events all weekend, and I'll put links for those in the comments. But if you're not and you want to send me your pictures so that they get put on the Ofrenda, I will do that.
That's so
my
smart.
husband's eyes just went like, oh my God, what are you doing? But I feel like that's healing.
And yes. I think it will be belonging is important for healing. Belonging, and you mentioned it. You can do all the work, self-work, but until we connect and interact with each other, then something really pretty happens. Magic happens.
Magic.
Mhm.
It's healing happens.
Yes.
And I was trying to think of what the difference is culturally about how we view death, right? And one of the things that you said that I thought was really beautiful is that we can have our loved ones live on through the stories that we tell about them. I think for me, at least where I grew up, we didn't really talk too much about people once they passed away because it was sad, or we might upset somebody, or it might hurt you to talk about them. And so that's just such a different perspective for me personally, that you're invited, especially on this day, you're invited to come and share about your loved ones.
In Mexico, it has become this huge celebration. And I do believe that we do get busy with work, no matter what country you are, and you get busy with school and activities, but they have selected this time of the year to really go big and celebrate. So I think that completely understandable to kind of leave some things that might make you not feel so good for a while. But then if a big celebration like this allows you to think about it, bring it out, and it's a party.
And
So-
you'd invite it back in, feel it, and then celebrate with
Right.
all the colors. I love the colors, all the colors, and there's music, and there's so much. Will you explain her? Because I didn't understand her.
So La Catrina comes back from I wish I have all these names, but Diego Rivera was one of them. Before Diego was another painter. It was black and white. So La Catrina, it was a way to picture this woman, and it actually was more of a joke in politics back then, but it has become a staple. We do have a contest, and we're gonna try to select the best Catrina and Catherine, which is the
Okay.
female and the male. And you're gonna see some people dress up with beautiful dresses and beautiful makeup, and they are the Catherine and Catrinas.
That's like the makeup on there.
Yes, so you have the example back there. You have the
Okay.
male and the female. Actually, that might be, yeah, it looks like a wedding, so I think it's pretty fun top like a team for a wedding. But yes, you have. That's gonna be part of the celebration. People dressing up, and when you go to one of the big events, absolutely everyone
Really?
is dressed up.
Oh, I love that.
But this year we're gonna do a contest and go from there. But hopefully one day everybody just
Shows up and dresses up and
Right.
participates and just comes in heels a little bit.
Yes.
I love that. What did I not think to ask you about that you think it's important to share or that you'd like to share?
Okay, I think the most important part of this event is not necessarily just to know every element of the celebration, but knowing how many parts of the community are getting involved. I think that's the main thing that I wanted to come and speak about. As a painter, as an artist, I believe that the power of art is real. And I have experienced that through myself painting, but I have experienced that when I go to a concert, and I experienced that when I eat a really good plate of food. To me, that's art. All of it is art, and it all goes inside of you, through your pores, through your ears, through your mouth. It all goes inside. This one is to a bigger scale. You have all your senses will be touch, the sight with the color, the sound with the music. There will be food, textures. I mean, that's hopefully that collaboration with the community will do something, at least to one person that comes to the event.
That's just such an interesting concept that I hadn't thought about when we talk about whole person healing, involving all the senses in that through art and music, and that's really amazing. I love that.
We get too busy here, and we forget to smell, to taste. But once we actually come in and experience, we're too busy, our senses will be too busy enjoying
Right.
that the suffering that we carry here takes a little break.
I love that. That is such a great way to think about healing. Tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share, and if you're in Southeast Texas, you have got to come by. There's 3 days worth of events.
There will be a few things, but the main event where will be face painting, music, food, October the 29th from 10 to 5.
Okay, 10 to 5, October 29th. You have questions? Where is it at?
Location is going to be right across from Super Antojo on Calder.
Okay.
I think we can put the date.
Yeah, we'll put the links in the
to have the exact location.
comments so that don't take directions from me ever to get to places. You will be lost.
No, don't.
See, he concurs.
I do have the address and it's right in front of me. It's,
Oh.
it's 2570 Calder Street
Okay.
in Bowman, Texas.
Do you have any questions, Matthew?
I did until I blinked. Something happened. It went somewhere. I was going to comment on like how many different cultures just don't really celebrate the lives of their ancestors.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They are. It's always kind of prim and proper and respectful and this, that, and the other. I know that when I go, I don't want people crying over me. I want them dancing on my grave.
I know. I have the beautiful experience to go to a Buddhist temple just a month ago. And I happened to go the day where they were doing the same tradition we do here, but with their own traditions. And I got to see the monks receiving blessings and people giving blessings, and they all go to remember their ancestors. So I realized this is so much just like we do the other Los Muertos. It was literally the same thing: music, food, and offerings. And I thought maybe we are more alike than we think we are. But like you say, sometimes we grow up in places where it's taboo, and that's also spread throughout some cultures or some families. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
and I grew up with the tradition, and my family will not speak about that a lot. as I grow older, I get to be exposed to things, and this is exactly what we're doing here. Might not be something that you think is fun because these skeletons and they're laughing and they're dancing, but at least being exposed to it, then you can decide. And that happened to me.
You know, and I think too, it's a way to teach the children who are growing up about death and about the circle of life and like you said, to teach us not to be afraid.
Yes.
I don't know that we have a context to like just bring up death in the absence of a tradition like that. It's a beautiful way to just invite that conversation. I feel very strongly that having conversations about things heals people, like not having conversations or certain things you're not supposed to speak of. And so that invites, I would think as a child I would have been able to ask a lot of questions about that in that context.
The fear of the unknown, I think that's really, really where the true fear comes from not knowing. Maybe when you find out, it's not so scary. And I really, I do have to say, they will be showing the movie Coco.
Oh.
And the first time I saw the movie was at the movie theater.
I don't know that movie.
And I remember watching that movie, and I thought it was just funny and clever.
It really was.
You know, one of the characters or guest characters in the movie was this guy in the picture behind us.
Oh, okay.
Pedro Infante. And I grew up watching him. Maria Felix is also in the... So it's a lot of characters that we grew up watching, and then we saw them as cartoons, but on the other world. They've been dead for a long time.
Okay.
They were still singing and partying and drinking. So that movie truly did something to my... It was just a story. When you watch the movie and they talk about the final death, is when you no longer speak about them or remember them. And that was like, I remember driving back from the movie theater, and I was tearing up, and my friend like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I just want to cry some more." And then I cried, but it was a good, it was just very healing.
One of her fears she would talk to me about was that I'm afraid you're going to forget me. And I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, I love you so much. I will think about you every day for the rest of my existence. And I do.
But
I
she
truly
said
do.
that to you.
But she even said that to me. I'm afraid you'll, and so this is going to be healing for her too, I think, because she'll know I do not forget her ever.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate you sharing your culture with me and your and all of this. This is really wonderful.
Thank you.
All right.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that you asked me, it was about the Catrina. And the Catrina was created by Posada. And after that, other artists like Diego Rivera and other painters and writers and poets have truly embraced the Catrina.
Wait, so that first, the P word, that
Posada,
was
he's a
the
painter
first painter that
came out with her.
Okay.
So she's a staple.
Okay.
Everywhere you see, you'll see this woman. Of course, she's a skeleton with this big hat and feathers and beautiful dress.
And always a beautiful dress.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.